In the UK, we were awarded the University of the Year for Teaching Quality, and we're also in the UK top 10 and in the Scotland top 3 for student satisfaction. And this is voted for by our students. So again, something we're really proud of. And yeah, back to Emma.
Great, thank you, Finn. So to give you a bit of an introduction to technology at Abertay and our kind of approach to it before we delve in deeper into some detail on the programmes, is at Abertay really computing and technology for us? It's a really vocational discipline. So our degrees are really aimed at the current job market. They give students real life background knowledge and job related skills. We make sure that we recruit academic staff from industry to make sure we're providing up-to-date knowledge from the work environment and real cutting-edge research topics. So we do have this very practical, job-focused approach. We want to make sure that if students are coming to us to study these kinds of topics, that they are then able to go and work directly in that area that they have studied in, whether that's within cybersecurity, within artificial intelligence, within games programming, that whole range of expertise. We make sure our staff are there to support you. Now, there's plenty of computing labs and workspace around the university for all students across the School of Design and Informatics. Lots of our spaces have open plan format, which encourages interdisciplinary collaboration, allowing our students to mix with each other and with technology experts. So that's not just amongst, say, our undergraduate students, but we do have projects that do mix up our postgraduate with our undergraduate students. So it does mean at postgraduate level, you might be involved with projects that you could be leading on with a team of undergraduate students working with you. Now, within the School of Design and Informatics, we have 3 focus areas, and these are cybersecurity and computing, games, technology and maths, and games, art and design. Now, we've been a centre of excellence for games education for some time now, and recently we were also awarded Academic Centre of Excellence status by the National Centre for Cybersecurity, and this is at the gold standard level, which is something that very few UK institutions offer. So all of our teaching around this area, it's at such a great level. It's been recognised nationally. As I say, we've got those Centre of Excellence statuses. I'll pass you back to Finn.
And I'll unmute myself so I can be heard. So yes, I'm going to talk to you about our computing and cybersecurity sort of elements of what we go through. So the first of our focus areas is to give really our degree programs some attention. So in terms of the ethical hacking and cybersecurity degree, like I mentioned, having the world's first ethical hacking degree program, which is quite a big thing, and it really has meant that we've been a trendsetter in this area for quite a long time. And as Emma has mentioned, being part of that National Centre for Cybersecurity is such a big acumen to hold up that actually a lot of our graduates are really excited to work with us in terms of the courses that we offer. So in terms of this degree itself, it was actually launched around 15 years ago, and this gives an offensive approach to cybersecurity. In terms of what this means, and I think we go into a bit more detail later on, but at an undergraduate level, the differences between cybersecurity and ethical hacking is about breaking systems. It's about understanding where the weaknesses are and finding those and really exposing them. Now, the ethical side means that you're invited to do this by a company. So you're given permission to try and get into their systems. And this really gets one step ahead of a malicious attack. So you're taught to think like a hacker, to understand what a hacker is going to want to get out of that attack, whether it's data, is it money, is it information that they can sell, all of which is very harmful to companies across the world. Now, cybersecurity is another offensive approach. However, this is based on building up a super advanced and secure system from the ground up. So eliminating those problems by seeking them out ahead of time and building it to mitigate those straight away. So again, still really detail oriented, still thinking ahead of the curve and thinking like a hacker. So we offer these at undergraduate level, and we also offer a joint master's in both of those disciplines, obviously at postgraduate level. And along with this, we also have our BSc in computing as well. On campus, we've got some amazing facilities. So we have the Net Lab and the Hack Lab, and these are designed to enable a combined lecturing and laboratory practical workspace. So this supports the development of all the technical skills that you're going to be taught and indeed practicing on campus. We have an isolated reconfigurable network. So this is dedicated internet connection, allowing our students to experiment with all kinds of different ethical hacking techniques and softwares in a safe and controlled environment. So all of our classes are very hands-on and practical focused. Of course, they're underpinned by that theoretical element and by the academic foundation, but the vast majority of our assessments are based on something practical, meaning that skills are developed throughout the modules that you get right from year one of your undergraduate and right from week one of your postgraduate levels. So this really means that the skills are developed right from the start. Career options vary in this industry for graduates. So some students go down the programming route. This is maybe becoming a programmer or considering maybe networking, web development. And those from ethical hacking and cybersecurity programs are looking at pen testing roles, security analysts, and information security policy builders as well. And there's an even wider range of jobs under the computing, cybersecurity, and ethical hacking umbrella. So really, we do see a number of our graduates following on in close footsteps to what they study, but also this type of learning can take you into a number of different industries as well. Now, our MSc in Ethical Hacking and Cybersecurity is fully certified by the National Cybersecurity Centre, and this is part of GCHQ. This course is designed for students with a computing or computer science bachelor degree and covers a range of subjects from forensic computing right through to network security. So again, it's that elevated approach, really pushing you into being quite a hot topic in terms of latest graduates. So it's really quite exciting. The bottom course that we have on this slide is actually a brand new master's launching in September of 2022. So this is a really incredible master's, and it's an applied master's. So again, using that hands-on approach, using that practical approach, you'll be working on real-time projects with real-time executives in industry. So it's the applied artificial intelligence and user experience masters. This is the first degree of its kind in the UK, as it combines psychology with the AI principles. So this will teach students and any interested parties how to enrich the design of AI solutions through good user experience practice, and how to use data, AI, and applied psychology to inform the design of prototypes. So as you may be aware, artificial intelligence is about understanding how human behavior can be collected and manifested in a program to better inform the outcome. So understanding human biology and the psychology behind these decisions that we make every single day is really, really important. It's not just about the systems. So really, really interesting course, and we'd be happy to take any questions about this afterwards, but I'll pass back to Emma to talk about gaming.
Thanks, Finn. Sorry, I didn't mean to change those slides so quickly. So the kind of other topic or area that we specialize in, as I said, around the School of Design and Informatics is around computer games. And similarly to computing and cybersecurity, we have a range of degree programs available at both undergraduate and postgraduate level. And we will talk in a bit more detail about the individual master's courses that we offer in these areas. As Finn mentioned at the start, we are ranked #1 in Europe for video games, for video game degree education for 7 years running, and we're in the top 15 worldwide in the Princeton Review. It's actually the top 10 worldwide at postgraduate level. And this is a fantastic accolade that Abertay has had, considering we were the world's first computer games degree provider back in 1997, a long, long time ago. Some of you who are interested in games might remember Grand Theft Auto, which was launched also a long, long time ago. And the creator of Grand Theft Auto is indeed an Abertay graduate. So that game came out of Dundee, and that's where its origins are. And since then, Abertay's gone from strength to strength. Our facilities and software, technology, everything that we have on offer for our game students continues to develop and be at that industry standard level. As I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of open plan working space, and this kind of studio culture really cultivates the interdisciplinary study that I was talking about earlier. So at undergraduate level, students across all 4 of our programs work together on industry level projects, and that is working towards a brief that has been set by an external company, typically any range of companies. We've had, big games companies like Ubisoft and Sony. We've had companies like Coca-Cola and Disney. We've had healthcare companies, the NHS, all number of different companies who've put in a brief for some kind of games related project that they want, whether that's a prototype for a game or creating using a game technique to make something that they want their staff to get involved with or interact with. There's been a whole range of things. And as I said as well, our master's students, particularly on the MSc Computer Games Technology programme, do have some project work where they're involved with the undergraduate level as well. And that means that our students are learning how to work with people of all different levels and different abilities, which is something that is great when they're moving on to work in that sector where they are going to be working amongst a whole range of people. So to give you a bit of introduction to those courses, as you can see there, we've got the BA Computer Arts programme and the BA Game Design and Production. These are our kind of Bachelor of Arts level programmes, so we don't require a specific technology or science subject area to get onto those programmes, though we do require some level of mathematics for the BSc Computer Game Applications Development and the BSc Computer Games Technology. Now, what we're really here to talk about is the postgraduate programs. So the MSc Computer Games Technology course is similarly to the Ethical Hacking and Cybersecurity. It's designed for students who are coming to us with a bachelor's degree in computer science or computing, or a discipline that's very related to that. So we're going to teach you how to sort of translate those skills from computing and programming into a games focus. The Professional Masters in Games Development is a slightly different focus. It's a much broader course, so we're looking for students from all manner of backgrounds, so those who have backgrounds more in game art or game design, those who do programming or coding, those who are involved in sound or audio. Hello there. We'll take some questions at the end if you have questions, just not right now. Okay. If you can just mute yourself though for now, that would be great. Thank you. Where was I? Yep, so the Professional Masters in Games Development is a much more open and broader course. So again, within that course, we have students working in such a range of expert areas that they can make these collaborative teams and do this collaborative project work together within that programme. But we'll talk in a bit more detail about each of the courses as we go on.
So Abertay is considered a modern university, and we have this because we haven't been a university for very long. So unlike other universities such as Edinburgh and Glasgow, which have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, we're slightly newer, which means that we have picked up the pace with some fast moving education, and we've grown that reputation quite a lot. And part of that is through the work that we're discussing with you now, but also being ahead of the game and ahead of the curve. So there are 3 areas within our School of Design and Informatics. And again, these keep up with that pace and set those trends. They're quite fast moving, and with expertise changing year on year, we work closely with industry partners to ensure that the skills and knowledge given to students are relevant and current. So this really influences our industry collaboration. So Abertay has a number of fascinating partnerships with companies like Sony, Microsoft, Amazon, and across those games companies that Emma has just mentioned as well, plus a whole load more, working with them and their technology to improve our student experience and expose students to practical tools. So this also ensures that our kit is up to date. So state of the art, the latest of the latest, even onto 5G test beds. So testing the latest sort of emergent technologies on our campus. That's what our students get to do. And also meaning that our software and technology is ahead of the curve and state of the art for our students to work on. Across these courses, there's a number of opportunities to work on multidisciplinary team-based projects. So we're often working on projects towards briefs set by our industry contacts. So Emma actually mentioned one that mentioned the NHS. So the NHS is the National Health Service, as I'm sure you are all aware. And a group of our students a year ago created a amazing game that helped young children with COPD, which is a chronic breathing and respiratory disease, to inhale and breathe with their medication. And it was actually taken on by a number of Kickstarters for the NHS. So really proud to be able to support students, not just creating games and systems that are for fun, but also really meaningful that could help the general public or a specific group of people. So these are, really quite dynamic, and that goes along with how Dundee is as a city. So we've got new companies opening up and investments in the city that are greatly going to benefit our students in the years coming, which is really quite exciting, and especially studying in these fields. And I'll talk more on this shortly. In every corner of the world, though, you'll find that an Abertay graduates in a tech company or in a games company, and we often get great feedback coming back from those companies about how quickly our graduates learn and develop. And this is because we have such a strong industry-led collaboration throughout our degrees and our offering.
Sorry. So just to highlight those courses that we offer in technology, which we've spoken about already, and we're going to go through each course on its own in detail. Those are the 4 programs that are at master's level within our School of Design and Informatics. So for those, the top 3, all except for the professional masters in games development, we offer these as both 1-year full-time on-campus options, but also as a 2-year part-time distance learning option. So the 2-year part-time distance learning means that you don't need to come to campus at all. So students who are living elsewhere in the world are likely to take on these kinds of opportunities. It's also designed in a way that you can be studying alongside working. So if you are currently working or expecting to get a job, whether that's in the UK or in your home country and it's not in Dundee, then the 2-year part-time distance learning option will work for you very well. And those 3 courses as well, the Applied Artificial Intelligence and User Experience, Computer Games Technology, and the MSc Ethical Hacking and Cybersecurity are all September starts. Now, the Professional Masters in Games Development is a slightly different one. We only offer this as 1 year full-time on campus, and this is partly to do with that strong project-driven kind of focus of this course. I'll talk about this course in a bit more detail later on, but due to that, we only offer this as a full-time on-campus program, but we do have 2 start date options for this program. So we do have a start in September and also a January start as well. So now we're going to tell you a bit more detail about each of those 4 programs.
Brilliant. So I know I spilled the beans earlier on a little bit more detail than I should have in that slide, but we're going to go over it again because it's just too good to pass up. So like I mentioned, the Masters in Applied Artificial Intelligence and User Experience is a brand new Masters. The first cohort will be September 2022. The first intake that we're running. And like I said, the UK's first university, that's us, to offer a master's which brings together AI, user experience research, and applied psychology. So using data and AI and to acquire a deeper insight into human behavior and psychology, students will also focus on ethical responsibilities of developing AI applications. And this course has a practical focus and features projects and group work as well as placements where possible. This is a quote from our website, which is directly from the head of the course. So we really wanted to work quite collaboratively to make sure that the messages get out clearly to our students. So a couple of the different areas of focus here, like I've mentioned as well, is applied psychology and AI principles. Whilst learning the theory and academia of very advanced artificial intelligence and user experience learning, and the practical overlay of that, there will be an underpinning of psychology. There's one module which is advanced psychology, and also a human behavior module. Now, these are to really grasp how we can make the most ethical artificial intelligence systems. And when you move into industry, it's your position to make sure that any sort of movements in this industry are really thinking of how humans are best thought of. Now, I'm sure there's going to be lots of different areas of focus for this, this type of degree. You don't have to go into an out and out artificial role. This can be used within sort of software engineering and website creation, into systems analysts and system security as well. So right across that data science and computing industry, which, as you all know, is a multi-billion-dollar industry worldwide. So using this to enrich the design of AI solutions through good practice of user experience, again, looking at data, reviewing the data and understanding it in a way that can be, I guess, translated into a better system, the next best system. Some of the topics do include data science, user experience, machine learning. That's also a really quite important level, a joint with AI, human psychology and applied analytics. And over and above this, you have a master's project. So these masters are 1 year long in full or 2 years part-time, but the typical 1 year course will be 3 semesters. So you'll have 1 semester from, if you're starting in September, it will be September to December. Then you'll have January to roughly around May or June. And then your project is based usually between June and August. So you're here for an entire year in our wonderful city. And that final year, that final project can be within the realm of what you're studying. It doesn't need to be, something specific. It can be anything within AI. So whilst you're learning, please do keep an eye out for, interesting topics that you're really, getting on well with, or you find really interesting, because if you find it interesting, it's going to make it even easier to study it at a research level. So that's a bit of detail on our AI and UX course. And I'm going to talk about the ethical hacking and cybersecurity course as well. So as we've mentioned, this is fully certified and accredited by our part of the GCHQ business, which is massive, and this is the National Cybersecurity Centre. So this master's degree develops the skills and mindset needed to tackle the growing threat of computer hackers, and that is the ethical part of our degree. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a hack lab and a completely isolated network. So should things go wrong, you do not put the systems of the whole uni at jeopardy. It's completely safe and secure. But this is so that our students can go and do what they need to do and experiment and trial and error, and build on their experience by, getting things wrong. It's okay to get things wrong because we learn from that. So really looking at this master's, it's putting you in an ideal position to pursue a really successful and lucrative career. We keep mentioning that the worth and the value of these industries is in the billions, and it really is. These courses that we offer are putting our graduates in a very lucrative salary bracket straight out of university. So we're very proud to be able to give that education, and you can earn it back almost immediately by moving into a skills gap and a global demand for ethical hackers and cybersecurity specialists. So just reading out a quote here, which goes through a little range of subjects, which I thought was quite nice to mention. So aimed at computing and IT graduates, our MSc Ethical Hacking and Cybersecurity covers a wide range of subjects. This is including penetration testing, digital forensics, information security management, malware analysis, port scanning, buffer overflows, and password cracking. God, that's a mouthful. Our research active teaching staff are at the forefront of new developments, allowing the program to evolve and cover the latest techniques and guidelines. Now, not that I want to expose any recent hacks, but it is quite interesting when we do have a local or national breach of security, and we find out that our lecturers are actually working on campus and then flying down to actively participate in the recovery and security of that malicious attack. So you are going to be taught by the people who are working actively in industry. So it's really quite exciting stuff. Um, in terms of the way that we want you to view cybersecurity, and it's to adopt this offensive approach, as we keep talking about. Now, offensive is actually quite a confusing word to use here, because of course we don't mean rude or explicit. What we mean is practical, hands-on, and at the forefront of action. So taking this approach rather than a theoretical or on the back foot approach, the offensive approach is the step forward. And really, the best line that we have here is the best way to beat a hacker is to be able to think like one. So I'll leave you with that and pass you back to Emma. And any questions about these, again, let's pop them in at the end.
Thanks, Finn. To take us on to the games programs now, as I've mentioned, we've got 2 master's programs in the field of computer games. Our first one being the MSc Computer Games Technology course. And as I mentioned, this is a program that's really designed for computing, computer science, IT graduates who have the programming and the skills and the background computer science knowledge to be able to apply this to the field of games technology. And as I also mentioned earlier as well, our postgraduate games are the best in the world outside of the US, according to the Princeton Review, and we're in the world top 10 for our postgraduate games offerings. And again, just to kind of quote from our academics, with strong industry links and the opportunity to work on real team projects, you'll benefit from developing the skills and expertise essential to computer games companies, as well as building your own network of contacts in this exciting industry. So our course here really builds on 5 themes of mainly within the games industry. So those are games production and design. So this is, looking at how to use the games development template as the basis for games design, development and production. So it's really grounded in the market reality of games publishing. So you're going to be learning about the games industry exactly, and how you can get into that, how you can be involved, what kind of skills do you need to develop to succeed in the games industry. And then games programming is obviously a lot more of the technical skills involved. So looking at the core programming competence of students using DirectX and console hardware programming. The professional knowledge, again, linking in with the games industry itself, is kind of the mathematical and the games industry knowledge that you need to be an expert and a professional in the field of computer games. The programming specialism, again, building on that core competency of games programming, is the opportunity for you to develop and evaluate the different techniques you use to implement computer games, and also the AI techniques used in these games. And then one theme I'd say that underpins all of our postgraduate courses is research. As I've mentioned, we employ academics who are directly involved with the industry still, even if they are teaching part-time or full-time, they are also have their connections with the industry. As Finn mentioned, within cybersecurity, we've got experts who are frequently called upon to support when something goes wrong somewhere in the UK, but also, we see them all the time being quoted in the media. They're asked for their expert opinion and comments and knowledge on something that might have happened. And it's the same within the games field of games as well. We have academics who have experience working in the industry and they've returned to academia, but we also have those who have who have, so I've just seen that question pop up. We also have those who are still involved, who are working in the freelance areas. Malahat, just quickly to answer that question that you've popped up. Typically, we do look for students with a background in computing or computer science, so you need to be looking at that kind of area to be coming into the ethical hacking and cybersecurity master's program. Economics, you wouldn't have the right skills to succeed in that course. That's why we have to have students with bachelor's degrees in that computing or computer science field. So the research element, as I mentioned and Finn mentioned in the master's research project, even within our games course as well, this provides students with an opportunity to explore a research topic of their choosing related to computer games technology. So that could be something linked in with AI and computer games if you're interested in that area. It could be, something to do with games within healthcare, as Finn mentioned, the NHS link there as well. There's a whole range of things that games can be involved with. Something more recently one of our academics has been doing is it's linked with games and also with AI, and it's to do with dairy farming and identifying cows. And it's just I don't know enough about it, but it's just one of these crazy topics that you'd think, oh, you know, how is games or AI involved in that kind of thing at all? But it really, technology feeds into so many elements of life and so many industries that you know, your research topics could be in any kind of area of work, as long as there's that games element feeding into it. So quickly, just to cover the kinds of subjects that you'll be studying within this program. Obviously, you've got you know, your games programming that I've spoken about, and there's also modules around applied mathematics and artificial intelligence. You've got some network game development, and further advanced procedural methods, as well as you know, teaching around research methods and how to carry out research ahead of you carrying out your own master's project. And then to move on to our other games master's course, this is the professional master's in games development. And as I said, this course is quite different. This course has a much broader reach. It doesn't mean you have to come from a computing or a computer science background. We look at students who've got skills in the fields of art, in code, in programming, in design, in sound and audio, a whole range of games industry focused roles here. And this is because the students that are on this course, they work together in teams, and we put these teams together to have this broad range of skills so that you can move forward with, you know, creating X game using this person as the artist, this person as the designer or producer, this person in charge of the sound and audio, these people covering the programming and the code for it. And it means that you get that collaborative work experience like you would in the workplace, but from the get-go on this course. As Finn mentioned, our master's programs are a year long, and they feature 3 different semesters. In this course, each semester there is kind of a different project to be working on as a team, and in different size teams as well. So you get the experience across the full year of working in a small team of perhaps 3 or 4 of you, a medium-sized team of maybe 7 or 8, and sometimes a larger team of, say, 12 to 15 people. And this really helps with you going into the games industry to have that broad experience, so that whether you want to go and work for a really large XXX, is it XXX or AAA games company, got that wrong then, or you want to work for one of the small independent studios, you've got the right kinds of experience from coming onto this course. So you'll really develop those core skills through the applied project work. As I mentioned, you know, that is the theme throughout this course. And you're supported by really experienced games industry practitioners. And that's within our academics on the course here, but also through experts who may be called in to give guest lectures, to support with the project work and support on supervision. And also any project work you might do directly for a company, you get to liaise with that company. That's part of the experience of studying at Abertay. There's also a really strong focus on professional development and practice within the games industry specifically. So we know that some students might come onto this kind of course a bit more wary of how do they get into the industry, how are they expected to work, what is the commonalities of working in this kind of industry, how do you get along with people, what's the expectations. So we do have a module around this that supports students with the professional development and professional development for commercial practice within this course. So really you're leaving this course ready to go and work in the games industry. So whether you've come from a more art, design, animation type background or a programming, coding, technical background, this course will really support you to go further into the games industry. One thing to note, and we're going to talk a bit later about entry requirements, is just that for this program particularly, and it's not the same for any of the others, we do require a portfolio as part of the application, and that's a portfolio in your field of expertise. So, you know, a more of a digital art animation portfolio if you're looking down the art route, or it might be a more programming sort of focused portfolio, so something that you might have done within either your studies today or within your professional working capacity, whether or not that's in the games industry, it could be in another programming focused role. So that's kind of I say brief, not so brief, but more detail for you about the core programs that we offer at Abertay in terms of taught programs. I'm going to just hand back to Finn to touch a little on our postgraduate research opportunities.
Thank you. So yes, in terms of the research options that we have, so over and above the taught masters that we offer at Abertay, we have a number of research-based masters that you can also pursue. So we have the Masters by Research, which is called an MRes, and this is a one-year full-time project research-based masters, and there's about 75 topics to choose from. This would be right across the topics that we have mentioned, but also business, science, forensics, and psychology, should they be of interest as well. If you're looking to do any doctoral studies like an MPhil or a PhD, which is 2 years and 3 years respectively full time, again, those 75 topics are available to you. And when you are a research master's student with us, you are given dedicated graduate space. So you have your own desk, you have your own breakout area, you have dedicated access to all of the speciality teaching and course options that we can offer. And along with that, placement opportunities in industry and dedicated supervisor specialist expertise on hand, really. So in terms of setting this up, if you're interested in one of these options, part of this is to complete an application form, which includes submitting a research proposal. You'll be joined up with a supervisor who's an expert in that field, all of which are from obviously our leading faculty. And this will give you a sort of access to this expert and this specialist to give you that hands-on guidance throughout your studies here. Also access to discipline-specific advanced and specialist facilities such as laboratories and equipment. That's something that all comes in hand with being a research fellow here. We also can help with additional funding support and further research exposure in industry. So it's not just about giving you the space to study, but also about helping you move into your career options or advance your research into other areas. So just wanted to touch on that quickly. But back to Emma for the next slide, which I believe is on our entry requirements, which I believe we've just had a question about. So hopefully this can clear some of that up for you.
Yeah, so I'm just going to talk a bit about some of the details around applying and the fees and things like that. So I'm sure this is one of our most frequently asked questions, so this should answer all of those kinds of questions for you. So for all of our postgraduate programs, the minimum that we look for is a good bachelor's degree in a relevant discipline. It may vary depending on the country from which your bachelor's degree is coming from. If it's from the UK, we are generally looking for a 2-2, or for our professional masters in games development, it's a 2-1. But for all other programs, we look for a 2-2. We may accept a 2-2 for the games development masters, but we'd be looking for a very strong portfolio of evidence alongside that application. If you're applying with a bachelor's degree from another country, feel free to get in touch with us just to check that it's the right kind of level or the percentage that you might need the overall grade. Either Finn or myself would be happy to have a look at your qualifications for you. A relevant discipline, as we've mentioned, for both the ethical hacking and cybersecurity and the MSc computer games technology, we are looking for a bachelor's degree in computing or computer science. So for computer games technology, we are, in addition to that, looking for evidence of a good knowledge of object-oriented programming and mathematics. So that's something that should hopefully feature within your computing or computer science degree. And for the ethical hacking and cybersecurity program, we're looking for students who've got significant experience within software development or networking as part of their degree program. If you have evidence of this kind of thing from your experience working in the field, then again, please do get in touch, because we do consider students who've got relevant industry experience, even if their bachelor's degree is not in a related discipline. So it is worth looking into for that. And again, get in touch with Finn or myself, because we'd happily look at any individual cases for application to look into that for you. As I mentioned, for the professional masters in games development, we accept a whole range of different kind of subject areas into that, and we look for that portfolio of evidence. And then that final program, our brand new MSc Applied Artificial Intelligence and User Experience, we do accept a wider range of subject areas, which include design, engineering, computing, physical, natural, life, or biological sciences. If you do come from a background with something like biological sciences, or for example, I studied chemistry at university, I didn't do any kind of computing or coding alongside that. So we do look for students who have some experience of scripting, and that doesn't necessarily need to be within an academic qualification. It can be something that you have been looking into yourself. We will have a look through these questions later on. Some of these are very subject specific. So as I said, if you want to drop myself or Finn an email, we'll leave our contact details up at the end, and we can look at your individual case for you. If you have done something like computer engineering, you are likely to be in the right kind of subject area for any of these programs. So I would say it's likely yes, it is probably the right kind of thing. Our English language requirements, we look for an IELTS overall score of 6 with no band lower than 5.5. We do accept a range of English language qualifications, so not just IELTS, other qualifications such as TOEFL, Cambridge exams, language certs, the online versions of like IELTS Indicator. So a whole range of qualifications, and you can find them all on our website. If you have studied a full degree in the UK, then this may be accepted in lieu of needing an additional IELTS test, because obviously the validity is 2 years. So if you had to have an IELTS for your bachelor's degree in the UK, then this may well be accepted as well. To talk a bit about the tuition fees, all of our postgraduate taught masters in this subject area are £17,000. If you were looking at the part-time version, then it will be £8,500 per year. So it's done on a pro rata basis. The fee is split over the 2 years. Postgraduate research, our fees do range, but typically for this kind of area in computing, games and cybersecurity, you're looking at £14,750 per academic year. Just to make you aware, as part of the offer conditions, if you're successful in receiving an offer to study with us, then you are required to pay a 50% deposit of the 1 year fees, or the first year fees for undergraduate level, before we issue your CAS in order to apply for your visa. The remainder of the fees, less any scholarship you might be awarded, are due at registration, which is just before the start of the academic year. So that would be in September or in January. And scholarships, again, another thing we're asked about frequently. We offer an international postgraduate scholarship to students from international who are paying overseas fees, who are coming onto our taught postgraduate. So that's the MSc and the professional master's courses that we've talked about. This award is £3,000. So that again would be deducted from your tuition fees at the start of the year. So any remainder you've got left to pay. So as an example, if you're paying £17,000, you'll due the £8,500 deposit before we can issue your CAS for your visa. And then the remainder of the fees, £8,500, is where your scholarship will be deducted from. So you'd have to pay £5,500 at the start of the year. There's also worth mentioning the Saltire Scholarship. This is a scholarship that's across Scottish universities. It's a more competitive scholarship. I should have mentioned for the Abertay postgraduate scholarship, there's no application needed for this. This is something that we consider alongside your application to study, and this is awarded to the majority of students. The main exceptions being students who might come through specific pathways onto us with certain partners. But if you're applying with SI UK, you are eligible for that scholarship typically. And just you need to meet any other eligibility criteria, which are on our website. The Saltire Scholarship, as I mentioned, is a scholarship awarded across Scotland, and it's offered to master students who are joining us from India, China, Hong Kong, Japan, Canada, the US, and Pakistan. There's also been a more recent development in terms of the Saltire Scholarship being offered, or a new pot for it being offered to EU students. So those are the countries that we typically cover. Now, this is specifically for the fields of science, technology, creative industries, healthcare and medical science, and renewable/clean energy. And all of our courses that we've just been speaking about come under this area in terms of science and technology and creative industries. As I say, this is a competitive scholarship. You do have to write an application as part of this, and that is outlined. It's usually 3 standard questions that you have to write. And you would need to submit that directly to Saltire, and we get sent all of the applications. But we do typically receive a lot of applications for this. As I say, it's a competitive scholarship, so it's worthwhile putting in the effort for the award. The last one I'll mention is the Chevening Scholarship. And again, this is applicable to students from certain countries, but many countries worldwide are, if you're from, there's a lot of countries on the list effectively. Again, this is quite a competitive scholarship. You have to apply directly to Chevening, and there's a full application process as part of that. It's usually done quite early on. I think the deadline has probably already passed. It's usually in November at some point. So you're looking at applying a year before you would be starting, if you're starting in September start. But it does cover all costs. So tuition fees, accommodation, travel costs, everything that you would need. It also requires you to have a minimum of 2 years of work experience. So if you're coming directly from a bachelor's degree, it's likely that you're not eligible for the scholarship. But if you have done a minimum of 2 years work experience, typically in a relevant industry, then you would be considered for that scholarship. So hopefully that's explained to you a bit more about scholarships and fees and all of that kind of thing. I'll pass back to Finn. We're going to tell you a bit more about Abertay and Dundee and Scotland now for the remainder of the session before we get to some questions.
Brilliant, thank you. So yes, a couple of these things have been mentioned already, but we are actually one of the smallest universities in Scotland, and this is quite a big thing for us. It means that we can offer you a really personal learning experience at Abertay. Rather than being in a class of 100, you might be in a class of 50. Rather than being a class of 500, you might be in a class of 80. So it's smaller classes, more personal experience, and your lecturers know your name. This also means that we have fantastic feedback from our current and historical international students who have really been able to settle and integrate much, much easier than they felt they could at other universities that were much bigger and a little bit more busy. So the 3 pictures here that you can see are our main campus buildings, and they all revolve around one central street, which is known as Bell Street. The main campus image on the left side of the screen is Kidd Building. Our office is right at the bottom of that big green pillar, but the actual, the bit behind it, that sort of other green area is where all of our cybersecurity and computer games students will be mainly studying. So it's a fantastic space. It's gone through a number of different upgrades in the last year or so. This picture in the middle is our library. It's beautiful, and it will be your second home while you're studying at Abertay. It's got amazing spaces for students, whether that's group work rooms and private study, quiet study, or just meeting up with friends. We've also got different workshops and different assistants in here as well, along with a cafe, Amazon lockers, spare laptop lockers. We have kitchens, microwaves, and hot water taps as well. So you can practically move in, and we just want to make it a space that you can study and not worry about anything else. Also in the library is the student inquiry zone. So if you think of the international team as the team that help you get to Abertay, once you're here and once you want to join anything or ask any questions, the student inquiry zone will be your next best friends. So once you've arrived, they really are the gurus of everything to do with timetables and examination and working out how to use different systems, that type of thing. They've got really great help and specialists there. Also, along with our advisory team. So if you're looking for some help in more serious areas such as disability, learning support, any of that at all, anything to do with finance, just really, just give them a shout. They're a really fantastic team. And the final picture here is quite an exciting one. So I can't remember what's on the next slide, but hopefully I don't repeat myself. But this is something that this is an area of the university that is currently undergoing massive renovations. So about £18 million is being spent currently renovating this building to become the UK Cyber Quarter area. The top 3 floors are going to be incredible research and development space. And again, this goes along with the lines of what I was mentioning earlier. You are working with the best of the best. You will be brushing shoulders with those really fantastic companies, and you will be invited in to learn from the best and also influence those decisions and research areas. So keep an eye on that space, keep an eye on our website for all the latest news around that. It does mean that our cafe in the library is the only one open just up until Christmas, but then we have our main cafe open again, and we've got lots of areas around the library supporting our caffeine needs at the moment, so it's quite good. Along with the webinars that we hold and various different support sessions that the international team can assist with, we also have our Instagram. This is our own international Instagram. It's just a bit of fun, really. It just shows you what we're up to, and also highlights some of the stories and the news around Dundee and Abertay that we find really interesting. In terms of international students and how we sort of best support that as well. So had a pop-up go there. And we also have a Facebook group, we have WhatsApp groups, we have newsletters. So we really do try and give you as much information as possible, and also a way to make friends with your new classmates before you've even left your own country. So, or even the town that you're in if you're currently in the UK. So yeah, quite an interesting little campus that we've got, but it's in the heart of Dundee. Literally just minutes from campus is the waterfront. We have shops and restaurants and everything nearby. So really safe, and it's all pedestrianised as well. Currently with our students, so this number is our current year. So like I said, we're small. 4,501 students. Isn't that crazy? Obviously this number changes year on year, but our current ratio of female to male is almost 50-50, it's 48% to 52%. And we have currently 23% of our students from international countries. So, we're looking at a really healthy proportion of international students. And also a number that changes every year is how many countries and nationalities are represented on campus, currently at 55. So in Scotland alone, we have 175 languages spoken on our incredible land. So we're a very, very welcoming place, and this goes for campus, the city, and our country. Just to let you know as well, we're not just looking at our diversity in our students, we also have a fantastically diverse team of academics and faculty and support team as well. So we really are breaking waves in terms of equality and diversity throughout the university. So it's a lovely place to be, and yeah, hopefully you'll get to experience it soon.
Thanks, Finn. So to touch on a bit about Dundee, the city, I'm conscious that we've got off sort of last 5 minutes, so I won't spend too long on this. Dundee is a relatively small city as well in comparison to other cities in the UK. We're the fourth largest in Scotland, but I'd still say we're much smaller than the bigger likes of Glasgow and Edinburgh. But it does mean it's so easy to get around. It's a great place to live. You can pretty much walk everywhere if you're living within walking distance of the city centre. It's not a huge place, so it's ideal to get around. It's compact, but there's a lot going on. It's very creative, and it's a very cultured place to live. I moved up here from London nearly 3 years ago now, and I absolutely love living up here. I live a 10-minute walk to the beach, but also, near fantastic venues like the amazing V&A Museum of Design, which you can see as the main focus of this photo. And you can also see the RR, I can never remember what this is called, Finn, you're going to have to remind me. Is it the RRS something? You need to tell me.
Discovery. Sorry.
Discovery.
RRS
That's
Discovery.
it. I can never. I was like, what's the next word? The RS Discovery right next to it, and these are both right down on the waterfront. As Finn said, that's easy walking distance from our campus, which is at the north side of the city. We're also the UK's first UNESCO city, and only, I think, UNESCO city of design, partly in due to the V&A Museum of Design that we now have. And we've also been named the cheapest and best city to live in the UK. So it's a really great place to live on a student budget. To touch on some of the latest Abertay partnerships in Dundee, Finn's already mentioned the Cyber Quarter, which we are very excited to be having on campus. As she said, it's going to be such a great opportunity for our students, particularly those coming in to study on ethical hacking and cybersecurity, because you've got the chance to be directly involved with companies who are at the forefront of solving existing and emerging problems within cybersecurity and technology. But other partnerships that would involve any of the students on these courses, the new 5G Innovation Hub for Scotland is going to be located in Dundee. And again, it's going to be something set up in partnership with Abertay. And collaborative work in the new 5G Hub will involve Abertay's Emergent Technology Centre. So this is going to focus on research and development of new technologies and cybersecurity practices as well. And then recently, plans have been unveiled for a new 4,000 seat capacity arena to be built at the Dundee waterfront. So it's just going to be the other side of the V&A Museum from where we are looking from this photo. This is going to incorporate an esports arena, education and working space for related companies and institutions. So Abertay is going to be involved as a partner in the project, and we intend to develop a range of new esport degree courses to take advantage of on-site facilities at the arena. So this is looking for a 2024 open date. So it's still a couple of years off yet, but something that you may be aware of, we haven't mentioned it just yet, is the graduate route. So if you were looking to study with us starting next September and then finishing in September 2023, you'd be eligible to apply for the graduate route visa, allowing you to stay in the UK for a further 2 years to work. This is a great opportunity for you to, spend 3 years in total within the UK. If you're coming onto a research program, a PhD program, you're potentially eligible for up to 3 years on the graduate route visa. But it means that you can still be involved in many of these projects in a working capacity as well. So just to show you where Dundee is, we are kind of really in the heart of the other 3 big cities of Scotland, which means we are easy public transport distance away from Edinburgh, Glasgow and Aberdeen. It means that you can explore Scotland at your leisure on your weekends and on the holidays. We are just over an hour from Edinburgh, and there's a direct coach service that takes you from Edinburgh Airport into Dundee. So that's the kind of recommended route we would suggest if you're flying in from another country, is to fly into Edinburgh and to take that coach service. But there's also international airports at Glasgow and Aberdeen as well. And the image you can see is taken from Dundee Law, which is the hill up at the top, the back of Dundee, looking down south over the river, and the Tay Railway Bridge, which is a very favourite site of mine. Used to live up at the top of that hill. Just to quickly touch on accommodation, we do offer student accommodation. I won't go through all the details now, but any students who are joining us new, especially from international backgrounds, we have a guaranteed accommodation offer, provided you apply before the 1st of August if you're starting in September. If you're looking at a January start for our professional Masters in Games Development course, then we can support you with finding some accommodation that's appropriate for that term of study, so from January to the December. This shows Parker House in the middle there, which is about a 5-minute walk, or even less perhaps, to Abertay's campus. So all accommodation is within walking distance. As I've said, Dundee is a very cheap city to live in, so you can definitely find something affordable, either within the accommodation options that we offer or through private accommodation, which is also available. Right, we're going to quickly skip over some of the Scotland slides just because we know we're very short of time, and in case there's any other questions that come up, please do start putting them in. If you've got any questions on anything we haven't covered just yet, then please do type them into the chat box, because we'd be happy to take some quickly. We've got time now, but just to quickly tell you a little bit about Scotland, if you've not ever visited before, Scotland has been voted officially the most beautiful country in the world. I think myself and Finn would probably agree with this. We are big fans of the countryside and the scenery that you see in Scotland. And quickly, we just wanted to tell you about some of our student kind of extra activities that are in this, really related to our students studying technology. So on the right hand side there, we've got Security. This is from last academic year really, which is the Europe's largest student-led information security conference. So it's this huge conference that our students, the Abertay Hackers Society, put on every year. So this year Securite was done virtually, but in the past it's always been a physical event on our campus, and we get people coming from all over the world to attend and go to this conference. It's a great opportunity for networking for our students, and really, support students with meeting people from industry, from hearing from guest speakers. There's usually some kind of networking exhibition lounge area, so it's very, very useful. The image on the bottom left, the Dare Academy, this is our annual competition for teams of students to enter to pitch an idea for a game. We shortlist 6 teams who get to spend a month in the summer being mentored by industry with a small budget to create a polished prototype version of their game. They then get to take the game to EGX, which is an annual games expo, which is usually held in London or Birmingham. And it's an amazing opportunity for them to showcase their games, not only to interested gamers, but also to industry experts. And we have a panel of judges, and they decide on a winning team. There's always a different prize each year. Sometimes it's a monetary amount, sometimes it's they got to go on a trip to the game design conference in San Diego one year. It's been varied from year to year. And then the top left, I'd just like to highlight this one. This is one of our graduates, and this is one of the games that they produced as part of their final year project, which has gone on to be used in medical areas, similarly to what Finn was talking about earlier. This game aims to support young people with cystic fibrosis to practice their airway clearance techniques. So again, it's that kind of gamification of something that using this specific type of equipment as well, and linking that into games. So that is hopefully a great introduction to you guys for our technology programs that we offer at Abertay. As I said, if you have any questions, please do pop them in the chat now. But if not, you're more than welcome to get in touch with us at a later date. These are the regions roughly that Finn and I cover, but we are both here to help out with any questions you have, no matter where you're from. So you can email either of us, and if we can't get you the answer, we can find the right person who can. And Ravina's just put in the chat there as well, you're welcome to get in touch with SI UK directly. They'll be able to help you out if you need support with applying as well. They're definitely great people to go and speak to, and then they can get in touch with us if there's any further questions that they need to pass on to us. But if there's not any other questions from you guys, then feel free to... Oh, we have a question maybe?
Is there any space for undergraduates?
Sorry, I can't hear you that well, Victor.
I said, is there any space for undergraduates?
Yes, so there is tuition fees for undergraduate. For those courses, it's £15,500 per academic year, and we offer a scholarship of £3,000, similarly to the postgraduate one of £3,000 per academic year. So once you take that scholarship off, that brings the fee to £12,500 per academic year, and that's the undergraduate tuition fee rate with the scholarship applied.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
So how do I apply for that?
Sorry, say that again, Victor.
So how do I apply for that now?
So if you want to apply, if you go onto our website, there's links out to the UCAS website, which is what you should use to apply for undergraduate programs, or for postgraduate, it's direct on our website. But as Ravina said, if you want to get in touch with SI UK, they'll be able to support you with the application and make sure that you're submitting it through the right way, and that you have all the documentation that you need as part of that application. So Ravina's put the email address in the chat. If you email them info@studying-uk.com, they will be able to help you out with the application.
Okay, I'll tell them, I'll text them. Okay,
no problem.
So much.
Okay, thanks, nice. Victor. Thank you.
Nice having you.
Thanks, Victor. There's been another question just about game design. If you have applying to game design with an architecture bachelor, if you're looking at the professional masters in games development, it might be applicable, but we'd really need to see what your portfolio looks like, whether you've got the right skills within kind of an animation side of things. We look to have that kind of portfolio of evidence already. If you want to get in touch with either myself or with Finn, if you drop us an email, we'd happily have a discussion at a later date, perhaps one-on-one, or if you want to send any details onto us about your qualifications, and if you've got any kind of portfolio or something that you'd think would be applicable to sending them, please do send on to either myself or to Finn. And do we have any final questions?
I don't think so. I don't think there's any more come through, but there was one mentioned earlier. I just wanted to reference that. So electrical and computer engineering, yes, please do apply. We mentioned scholarships, we've mentioned IELTS. So also for another one, research paper in cybersecurity and currently studying a bachelor's degree in computer engineering, yes, please apply. So it sounds like there's a lot of students on here who are really, really quite well matched actually with what we're looking for at undergraduate level. But like Emma's mentioned, and also Ravina, there's lots of people here to help. If you are ever unsure or just want us to check over your transcript and check the modules, please get in touch, because that's what we're here to do and help. So hopefully everyone has enjoyed that. It's been great to speak to you today. Yeah.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Finn, very much for the session today. And yeah, everyone, thanks for joining us and have a good evening.
Thank you, Ravina. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye.